I know that some things are just thematically appropriate and should be included, but still, it becomes pretty obvious when the author has a favorite character that they want to keep on screen. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 121. Now, there are going to be no spoilers for the chapter, but if you don't want to hear anything, you can go, I'll give you this time to click away and go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of my book, Flying Sparks, Dragons, Aliens, and Things That Go in the Night. One of the things that I've really appreciated about Kaiju number 8 from the get-go is that Kaiju number 8 does not demonize the very reasonable fears and concerns that the commanders of the Defense Force had regarding Kafka and Kaiju number 8. They had no way of knowing if this was a human or a kaiju impersonating a human. No way of knowing if hosting a kaiju would gradually drive the human insane if he was human. So Matsumoto made it clear, even though we're acting from the perspective of Kafka and Reno, where the very natural security concerns that the Defense Force expressing are literally life threats to them, Matsumoto did a good job of showing us that they were still acting reasonably. And ultimately, Kafka had two things going for him. One, that the Director General Iso Shinomaya pointed out, they couldn't really not keep him alive and use him as a weapon. They had no idea if they could weaponize his kaiju body. They had no idea what more and more powerful kaiju were going to crop up. If Kafka, the human brain in Kafka, could control the kaiju body, this would be a life-saving miracle for Japan and the world. And fortunately, Director General Iso was focused enough on the bigger picture to see that and to break out of the procedures that the rest of the Defense Force seemed to be kind of trapped in. And of course, as we saw again and again, the other thing that allowed Kafka to survive with the Defense Force was his absolute golden retriever personality. Steve Irwin mindset, I like to call it. Kafka genuinely cares about other people before he cares about himself. His mama raised him right. Mina knew this from the get-go, and that was the first thing she recognized when he stepped out in chapter 32 to save them all from the Yoju bomb. Vice Captain Hoshina recognized this. Reno just imprinted on this and adopted Kafka. Kikoru recognized this, and even the Director General recognized that. Kafka Haibano had a quiet moral fortitude and had the virtue of self-sacrifice to the point of it almost tipping over into vice. And of course, this is a Shonen Jump manga. There are certain tropes that we simply cannot escape, nor do we want to escape them. One of them is the ultimate rival being the best friend. And for Kafka, that is Vice Captain Hoshina. Now, this is interesting because Reno is objectively Kafka's best friend in his working group. But Kafka and Reno really aren't rivals. They're on the same team, they're on the same side, and they have very different fighting styles, making them very compatible. So they're not really rivals, despite what Reno said during the application arc. Now, Kafka's rival is Vice Captain Hoshina. And the difference in their ranks in this military command structure keep them from being the buddy-buddy type of best friend. So Vice Captain Hoshina is not the guy who's gonna go out for drinks with Kafka or go play games together. Instead, he's Kafka's best friend in that he's always looking out for Kafka, always trying to do what's best for Kafka. And that means training him, driving him to the extremes, and using his authority over Kafka to form him into the best weapon that he can be. That means always being there to watch him, to observe. And that's a kind of an interesting twist on the rivals and friends trope, because Matsumoto kind of separated those out into two separate relationships, one with Reno, one with Hoshina. And I think I know why. Way back in chapter 22 or 23, when Kafka stumbles on Vice Captain Hoshina training right before the wyvern attack. There's something about those images in the manga that made me think, you know what? Vice Captain Hoshina is Matsumoto's favorite character to draw. And I think one of the reasons that Matsumoto decided to make Vice Captain Hoshina such a close, caring friend to Kafka, the kind of friend who's watching over them from a position of authority, is so that Matsumoto can draw Vice Captain Hoshina as more often than he otherwise would be able to legitimately put Vice Captain Hoshina on the screen. Because Vice Captain Hoshina is a secondary character, and there needed to be some connection between Hoshina and Kafka in order to legitimately put Hoshina up on as many scenes as we see him in the various chapters, including this one. And I think that's all I can say without getting into spoilers. This chapter rocked. It reminded me of a video I watched recently where this guy, and he's just hanging out with his golden retriever, and a CCTV camera is looking on them at the dog park, and this Belgian Malinois comes up out of nowhere and either goes to attack the guy or the golden retriever. It's not exactly clear. And when you mentally seize up a golden retriever and a Belgian Malinois, you kind of favor the Malinois, right? Because they're more aggressive, they're more intense, they got that snarl. And a golden retriever is a golden retriever. They're happy, they're herpy, they're derpy. In fact, they're so happy and herpy and derpy that you forget that is at minimum an 85-pound bundle of muscle descended from wolves, bred to do endurance swimming through ice-cold water to retrieve birds during hunting season. Yes, the golden retriever is happy. Yes, the golden retriever is herpy. Yes, the golden retriever is derpy. Yes, they are so friendly that they will show a thief into your house and show them where you keep the good silver if they could understand how to do that. But when it comes down to it, mano a mano, the threat is in their face and they see that somebody is attacking someone they love, they are still a big dog and they will throw down with the best of them to protect themselves or someone they love. They don't want to, but they will and they can. And that was the vibe I got out of this chapter. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Do you think that Matsumoto has a favorite? And do you think it's Vice Captain Hoshina? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Step into a world of science and of story, of laughter and of tears. Betty Adams has crafted entire worlds of science fiction and science fantasy adventure in her Humans Are Weird series and in her Dying Embers series. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and become absorbed. Check out her books at the links below the video.